Here we go.
Money, money, making crap for money. Money.
Ready?
I'm born ready.
You ain't gotta ask me twice.
I do this.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, with CJ, the smart guy. That first half was crazy. I definitely gained a lot more brain cells just being here listening. Thank you again so much for being here. Let's jump back into the Kanye conversation.
Yes.
Because you voted for Kanye for president.
Correct.
I need to know what was going what was going through your mind, because he was facing a lot of controversy at this time for this bipolar moment he was having. So what made you want to go for Kanye? You literally wrote him in. So this was, you were adamant about him getting in there.
Stamp, sign, seal.
Hey, you was on top of it.
Yeah.
Tell me how you came to this point to get him in there, because you're a smart guy. So I definitely appreciate your input. I need to know I need to know how this came about.
I mean, the concept was really simple for me. I looked at, because Trump, if you look at his downline, like it's, from pimp to KKK, like downline.
wait.
His grandpa was a pimp.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They made money off of real estate, but they had brothels in the real estate business.
Oh.
And then his dad was, I'm not gonna say he was a front line. I don't know all that. But,
right.
But if you look at it, like his dad was part of the KKK.
Okay.
So like that's his background. So if he ever has like personality things that might resemble that, that's what it is. But I don't think he's nearly as bad as a Joe Biden, who actually writes bills to lock people up at higher rates. And not just one or two, he's written at least 3 or 4 of these bills, and he's been very proud of them. And I think that over time, he's just gotten so good at being a politician that it was like, I think he was Obama's underseer, where it was like, hey, if the racists want to get Obama elected, that you have to have somebody racist in the cabinet, and he's going to be the underseer. And just to give
the racists wanted to get Obama elected.
If Joe Biden is there, it's not as bad. So for instance, let's look at Kamala, how she just ran, right?
Yeah.
Why would he ever put on a Trump 2024 hat?
I was thinking because he had dementia and somebody put it on him, but
okay, which is a reasonable possibility. Then the next question is, Joe Manchin. A lot of people were mad at Joe Manchin because he held up the Build Back Better. Build Back Better was the plan that all the black people were like, yes, this is what we're gonna get. We're gonna do all these things. We're gonna get student loans cut. We're gonna get all this money sent to HBCUs. That was the reason why a lot of black people they wanted Joe Biden in the first place, was because he ran on all these promises. Joe Manchin, who's a Democrat, West Virginia, blocked a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
Well, the second he blocked it, Joe Biden appointed his wife to a higher position in the cabinet. And I'm like, if somebody was blocking all my bills, I wouldn't appoint his wife to a higher position. So it seems like, it just feels like, from my paying attention to the moves, not the energy that he talks about, even though to say that if you don't vote for him, you're not black. Like you get what I'm saying? Like, there's so many things out there.
Can't argue with that one.
You create bills to lock people up. You call us predators. You don't have the empathy for us. And if you go back to, when he was saying these things on the Senate floor, Bernie Sanders was backing us. Mm-hmm. Bernie Sanders had it right. Bernie Sanders was a great guy. Like, if you ask me, I'm not going to say he's a great politician with his bills that he passes, but I was going to vote for Bernie.
Yeah, I was going to vote for Bernie.
I was a Bernie guy.
Yeah.
When Hillary rigged the election, the DNC did it. Deborah Wasserman Schultz, in particular, she got fired for rigging it. And then the second she got fired, Hillary hired her. So when Trump was saying that she was crooked, he was 100% correct. She was completely crooked. And so it was like, well, in that election, Trump versus Hillary, I didn't vote. And then when it was Trump versus Biden, I was like, I need to start voting. I need to put this down. I need them to see that I'm still voting, for a third party so it might not win it, but I'm gonna vote for another black man. So it was like, I'm gonna vote for a black man that even though they don't think he's gonna win, he's cool, which is crazy because Dr. Jamar Montgomery voted for him also. And that's how we got to know each other on Twitter, because we both were talking about voting for Kanye. And it was like, oh, there's somebody else who thinks like me. He's in crypto. And then Dr. Jamar Montgomery, actually worked with Kanye. And so when we talk about Trump meeting with the white supremacists, Kanye brought 2 white supremacists to that meeting. He was really meeting with Kanye. He brought Nick Fuentes, and I can't pronounce his name, but Antalopico or something. And the white supremacists, they didn't get along. So they had to drop one. So they only brought Nick Fuentes. But the meeting was with Trump, Kanye, Dr. Jamar Montgomery, and Kanye. So it was 4 of them. It's 2 black men, 2 white men. So when the media says Trump met with a white supremacist, one, he didn't order the meeting with him. He ordered a meeting with Kanye, and Kanye brought him. And then second, it was 2 white men, 2 black men. And Dr. Jamar Montgomery talked to Trump about NFTs, crypto, Bitcoin. And that was around the time when he started to take the champion stance in crypto, Bitcoin, and blockchain. And so if we take it back to the election stuff, as we are, the 2020 through 2024, Naja Roberts is trying to reach out to Democrats. Maxine Waters is in her own district. That's a black woman. You would expect for her to meet another black woman on crypto. Doesn't do it. And then you start to follow the money, because I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? Oh, you're involved with FTX. You're involved with SBF. So
Maxine Waters is.
Correct. Because she was the head of the finance committee. So if you follow the money, you start to realize that SBF paid almost all these politicians money to be able to not get in trouble. Like, he paid a lot of money to a lot of politicians. And so they were just looking at it like, oh, well, I'm gonna take this money, I'm gonna do right by you, not realizing he's one of the most biggest crooks out there. And so when you talk about the controversy with Kanye, when he was talking about a certain religious group, well, we have a guy named Isaiah Jackson that's in the crypto space, and he pointed this out. All he said was Kanye was right. But if you look at SBF, you look at Gary Gensler, you look at his girlfriend, and you look at the one who put the money up for it, they were all the same religious organization. Now, you don't have to always just say it was the religious organization that did it. You can easily say, well, they all went to MIT. So think about that movie 21, when they were gambling and going up to Vegas and making all the money. Think of that, except for a cryptocurrency exchange that was somehow able to change the Miami Heat arena to FTX arena, get FTX on all the different umpire jerseys, and make millions and billions of dollars without a proper audit, without a proper anything. So,
oh Lord.
So there had to be regulation.
Yeah.
But the regulation needed to be done correctly. And the main thing that we saw from Biden, not only did he veto that, but he came out with a stance. It was January 27th. It was the same day that the video, rest in peace, that Tyree Nichols got killed by the black officers in Memphis. So most of the black community was focused on that. And I saw the statement that came directly from the White House, and, not quoted, but basically what it said was cryptocurrency had negatively affected young people and people of color, but gratefully it hadn't affected the greater financial institutions.
Yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, why are you singling out young people, and why are you singling out people of color? What's the real basis behind this? And so a lot of experts, we came together and we're like, this sounds like an accredited investor rule, where they're saying, for stocks, I'm sure you understand, where the first round of investors, unless you make at least $250,000 or you own at least $2 million, not including your first home, then you can't get in on the first round, and you probably can't get on the second round or the third round. You can't get in until it goes live, and then everybody else can get in. So the original investors make all the money. So, these basketball players, they can get in.
Yeah.
Cubans, they can get in, but the average person, I don't know what you're worth, but more than likely we can't get in a lot of these investments because we don't qualify for a accredited investor.
Yeah.
Well, what makes Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole so great is because there is no regulation saying that we can't get in. So a lot of people, young, black, it doesn't matter, worldwide, have been able to go from nothing to extreme wealth. You know, some people lose, some people win, but why are you pointing us out in crypto, but you're not pointing out the casinos?
Yeah.
Because the odds that you lose, but yet you're making money off of that. Why are you trying to quote unquote protect us from crypto? And so,
because they can't control it.
Correct.
Essential. I mean, so I'm wondering too, just to play devil's advocate, is this like a black thing that they're trying to oppress black people from it, or is it more of a money thing?
So you can go to a January 27th. It said it had negatively affected young people and people of color.
Okay.
So I can't say it's a direct attack on black people.
Okay.
But as a young person and a person of color, it felt like you were trying to tell me that I was negatively affected, when in reality, Bitcoin has done nothing besides greatness for my life.
Yeah.
So I disagreed with the statement.
Yeah.
And then it was like, well, what is the meaning behind it? Why would you single us out? Because you could have easily have said many investors have suffered losses.
Yeah.
And just had a blanket statement. They decided to single out young people and people of color.
Well, I always say when the government started taking money for endorsements and money just from different places and people, that's when it became more of a marketing ploy to kind of push ahead whoever was giving them the most money.
Correct.
Honestly, because if you think about it, these are the same people who said go to school, get a job, go to college, and work for 40 years and then get a pension. You know what I mean? So like nothing that they say, I have to take it with a grain of salt. But I do understand what you're saying because they do control the policies. So and with that being said, they could control the market. And the market value of things. What was I about to say? When it comes down to president, because these are big names in the world, presidents, things like that, things that people that are pretty much untouchable. When it comes down to the local level, because for me, I feel like the president is, I always say this, I feel like it's two feathers of the same bird, whether it's Democratic or Republican, they're going in the same direction to me. Is there anybody at the local level that you are supporting or you feel like is supporting your initiative?
In Richmond.
And are you voting at the local level?
In Richmond, not yet.
In Richmond, not yet. Okay.
I have talked to multiple, like the mayor candidates. Some of them are familiar with it, but most of them were saying wait till after the elections, which
is a cop out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct for politicians. And so
I agree. Yeah.
I didn't participate in the local Richmond choice because none of them like actually followed up with me.
I got you.
They all gave me they all had different responses to it, but nobody just embraced it. And considering that I know who I am, and I know like what I bring, it's wild to me. Now I will say that Salim, I might be butchering his name. He's a state senator.
Okay.
He's pro Bitcoin. I'll probably be working with him a lot.
Nice. Wait a minute, you working with the senators too?
State senator.
State senator.
Yeah, not U.S. senator.
Is this through the Urban League or something completely different?
So the Urban League, I met them in 2017 because I was in Richmond for 6 months in 2017.
Okay.
That was right before I went to California.
Got you.
And the Urban League at that moment was fantastic. Shout out to Jermichael McCoy.
Shout out.
He was handling business. And so I got really good with the Urban League. I paid attention in Houston, came back here in 2022, and that was one of the first organizations I started linking up with. I asked a guy named Victor Rogers, who used to be the president of the Urban League Richmond YP, and he was like, hey, talk to the Virginia Blockchain Council. And so I was like, okay, never heard of them, but I was familiar with the Texas Blockchain Council, and they are probably the leader in the crypto space by far, with Lee Bratcher.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, then let me, see what the Virginia Blockchain Council is about.
Mm-hmm.
And so I met with them, and then I started to see, there were bills that were created here in Richmond. They just got their first, it's a small dollar amount. I think it was like the first 50,000 for research. And I was like, but hey, it's off zero. Texas has millions.
I feel like I know what you're talking about. I feel like I met one of your guys that's working with that blockchain council. Well, you said it's in Texas, but it's one here.
Virginia Blockchain Council, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I met him at when Delegate Congresswoman McClellan was speaking. It was
Possibly.
A Chamber RVA event.
Possible.
And they actually, like, when he started to speak, because they were talking about, no, I'm sorry, it was a Republican one, not the McClellan one. Anyways, whenever he started speaking about Bitcoin, the Republicans, I think it was Rock Whitman, and they got super excited. Yeah. And actually, like, exchanged information with him. And I wanted to get his information, but everybody was trying to talk to him afterwards. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it seemed like they already started making some moves. Well, y'all were about to start making some moves in that department.
Yeah, well, we're definitely expanding right now.
Yeah.
I've been working with the Virginia Blockchain Council, so I learned about them through Urban League. Okay. But I had already spoken with the Texas Blockchain Council in Houston, so they're very familiar with me out there in the Houston chapter. And so, like, now, like, I've got this Virginia-Texas connection with the blockchain councils, and I've now gone to D.C. for some of their blockchain councils as well. So this is a countrywide thing. Mm-hmm. The technology is here. Mm-hmm. And so I'm gonna keep tying it back to the elections. Yeah. That's the reason why when Joe Biden came out with negative stances and he did these vetoes, the entire crypto industry groaned and was like, ugh. Because then that means that we knew that the only option was Trump. And so it was like,
the convicted felon. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So you have to understand there's two demographics in the crypto world. You have a lot of Black Americans, not just Black Americans, but Black people around the world, people of color around the world who are looking at Bitcoin as freedom money to be able to get out of the oppression, whether you're in Africa and being oppressed by France, whether you're in America being oppressed by the U.S. government. We're looking at this as freedom money because you don't have a middleman. A lot of these white people are looking at it as, oh, this is a chance to get rich because it's a brand new industry. It's the gold rush, like the 1940s. This is a great time to get rich. Yeah. And so you really honestly have a lot of racist white people and you have a lot of freedom seeking Black people who are united in this. Oh. Like completely united. If you go on Twitter, you will see some of the most outrageous, crazy racists saying crazy things, and Black people are going to be like, well, yeah, because we're connected on this one issue. Yeah. And if we have freedom money, and we're not being oppressed, then we can do what we want to do, and it takes away a lot of the animosity out of things. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you even have like a lot of racist meme coins that come out, the PayPay coin and all these things. Mm-hmm. But you get Black people who are buying it because they're making money from it. It's like, hey, racism doesn't hit as hard when you're being paid and you're not being beaten. Yeah. Like if somebody's not beating you and they're paying you and they say something that's racist, it doesn't hit as hard as you're not paying me and you're beating me and you're forcing me to work for free. Yeah. So we're talking different levels of racism.
Have you seen the movie Rob Peace?
I've not.
On Netflix? Mm-mm. Oh man, it's so good, but it's kind of I watched it today, but it's putting me in the same mindset of what you're saying today. It was a Black guy from, I think he was from New York or Jersey or something like that, but he ended up going to Yale. His dad was in prison, so he spent a lot of his time trying to get his dad out of prison, which meant that he was taking time away from his studies to go see his dad in jail, and his dad was kind of like making him feel bad for not getting a lawyer for him, so now he's selling weed on campus and like it got to the point where it ended up that he died. But in this, he was a brilliant guy. But when they were at Yale, it was like, you know, obviously it's the rich white kids, and then it's the people who they're on scholarship, you know, black and brown. And he kind of brought everybody together through this mutual connection of marijuana, because he had the best marijuana on campus. And the people who the black and brown people were saying like, man, like, why you hang out with them crackers? And the, you know, the white people, you know, that he was on the swim team with, they weren't really worried about the other people on campus as far as black and brown. They were kind of oblivious to them. It was kind of like, oh, just another person. But basically what Rob Peace was saying was like, look, I mean, we can get money together. Like, we all here for the same purpose. And he was like, y'all black and brown, my people over here, I understand why you feel oppressed. I get it. But these people not worried about y'all. Like, it's like, what am I going to fight somebody who not hitting me? At this point. And that's kind of how I feel about with this partnership you talking about now with Twitter and things. Because if we can make money, I'm saying, I'm good. Yeah,
and you're not physically hurting me.
And you're not physically hurting me, and I'm bringing it back to my community. Yeah.
Spook that's sat by the door.
Yeah.
So you said something about marijuana, right?
Yeah.
Think about that. That is a decentralized asset, because it grows anywhere.
Wow.
Bitcoin
I never
is
thought
decentralized. Decentralized assets allow us to not have to be so centralized in one area. And when you have that, you create somewhat freedom. Yeah. And the people who don't like freedom, they then try to centralize it and create obstacles. And so an accredited investor rule would be an obstacle to freedom money, but it would not be an obstacle for the rich people to still get it. So we looked at that as a direct attack on us.
I got you.
So a lot of
I understand.
The entire industry moved away from Biden to Trump. It was very obvious. The black women did not like it, but they were like, well, I can't get mad at you because of whatever. Like, they see it. However, that 100 days where he dropped out, all of a sudden Kamala started running. The dynamics switched immediately. And it was wild.
You got me thinking.
It was wild. The dynamics switched so quick. That, I mean, it switched in seconds.
Now the people who weren't on his side is now on her side.
Oh my God. The black women, they united so quick.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we got our own. And it didn't even click in my head yet, all the stuff that was going on. All I knew was that I've got to bring this information to black people.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned the Urban League.
Yeah.
So the Bitcoin conference was in July 2024.
I heard there's not a lot of black people at that conference.
No.
The Bitcoin conference.
No, most of the time it's the crypto bros are like the white people who are trying to get rich.
Got you.
They're not looking at it as freedom. If they are saying freedom, it's a different freedom than how it hits different than what we're talking about. And I'm cool with a lot of them.
Right.
But they're the ones who normally go to the conferences. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't go. Black Bitcoin Billionaires, we've gone for years. Atlanta Blockchain Council's gone.
Okay.
So it's a great event to go to. However, this year I didn't go to the Bitcoin conference because I went to the Urban League conference.
I heard you didn't go.
Correct.
I heard you didn't go. It was big news that you were not there.
Correct.
Actually. Yeah.
Because I recognized where things were going.
Okay.
And I said, I need to go to the black community and let them know what's going on because I'm in a silo. You know, we talk about like algorithms on Twitter and Instagram and things of that nature. Everybody in my circle is making money. We're all black and we're doing well. I don't even see struggle. Like I'm not in a struggle. I'm not in LA. I'm not in college in Houston anymore. My entire circle, I'm one of the poorest people in my circle. I'm an accountant. I'm doing taxes for rich people. And most of the rich people I'm doing taxes for are black. So I'm not seeing the struggle on a day-to-day basis like everybody else, but I recognize, you know, when people are calling me or they're not paying invoices on time, or like I'm able to see, okay, there must be a financial struggle around the board. And so I was like, I have to go to this conference. Kamala had only been put in like, you know, on the ballot for like maybe 3 days. So it wasn't like I could blame her for not attending. However, that was one of the biggest mistakes that she could have made, is not attending the Bitcoin conference, because the literally exact moment that RFK, who was still running, and Trump were speaking at the Bitcoin conference, the Urban League was having a conference. And so I literally asked the question in front of everybody, like 2,000-3,000 people, in front of the president of the organization. I asked him, hey, if the goal is to defeat poverty, like that's one of the main goals, defeat poverty, why aren't we teaching, or what are we doing to teach people about the evolution of money? Because money's going from a centralized Federal Reserve paper money into a blockchain-based central bank digital currency money. And what are we doing to teach people about how money is changing? Because our freedoms can be completely taken away from this. And people keep talking about this Project 2025. Well, it's being done in Texas. Texas is the leader of this stuff. So you can't just keep complaining and fear-mongering people about this Project 2025 and not actually letting them know what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm one of the people that knows what's going on.
Right.
And they gave me 2 BS answers, and it bothered me. One of them said, well, we're not doing enough, so we have to do better. I was like, okay.
It's pretty broad.
Yeah. And then the president, he was like, well, I appreciate you for coming up here, and don't be scared to come up here, because I think a lot of young people get scared to talk about these things. And I was like, but
that's not the answer to my question.
Correct. I just did it. I just did it.
Right.
And so then it's like, okay, I understand if you don't know anything, I'm not trying to show you up. There's respect.
Yeah.
But I would hope that there would be a follow-up.
Right.
Something.
I'll get back to you or something. Yeah.
Only one
Here's
person.
My card.
One person followed back. And he just asked a bunch of crypto questions. It wasn't like, let me know more. It was more like, let me just get rich real quick. But outside of that, the one guy, nobody else followed up. There's a couple people who asked for my card, but nobody followed up. And so I was like, I felt like it was a waste of time. I don't think it was, but that's the way it felt. And so I created a couple videos about it and explained, hey, look, I sacrificed my cool conference that everybody loves me and adores me to go to this conference where nobody really knows me. And now I'm talking Trump, I'm talking RFK, and all these people are triggered. They're triggered.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing that now people are associating Bitcoin with Trump, which is wild to me, because there is zero correlation.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
Because they don't know.
Yeah.
And so when Trump was at the conference, he said all the correct talking points.
Okay.
It's definitely clear that he's not a Bitcoiner.
Right.
But he spoke to the industry as a whole, and he touched on all the correct points. All the things that we were complaining about, and that we were talking to the local Democrats and all the Democrats in general, and they weren't listening to us.
Do you think that if Kamala would have did that, she would have won the swing states?
I think that she had a way bigger chance.
Okay.
I think that it was a disservice that they gave her only 100 days.
Yeah.
Because Biden was clearly not capable over a year ago before that.
Yeah.
He's falling everywhere. He's tripping literally on stairs. He's tripping when there's nobody. He doesn't know where he's going. He can't give people a handshake. He's calling leaders the wrong names. Yeah. It was very clear that he's not.
Well, a lot of people say that Reagan, a lot of people say Reagan was the best president we ever had. Excuse me. However, when people say that, I think that they fail to realize that he had dementia when he was president. So the people who feel that way don't really realize that it's the cabinet that's really making all of these decisions.
Correct.
So when it comes down to Biden, I feel like he might have just been the one that got caught. Because at the end of the day, I feel like the president is just a talking head to me. It's a ton of people behind them making the decisions. With that being said, I do feel like you said, they should have gave Kamala, if they were going to make her president, they could have given her a longer runway to become president.
Correct.
It was a really famous speech decades ago. I mean, probably in the 40s or 50s, where they said, it was a guy, I forget what his name was, but he said, if there was ever going to be a black president, then that means that they would be, or a black woman president, then the president will have to be white and he will have to die. That's the only way she will become, or something will happen to him. So it's just crazy. Decades later that this happened. Unfortunately, she didn't win. But yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't really know what. I don't know, because she had endorsements from everybody. Taylor Swift, I know that's
those
not
are paid for though.
Paid for, and I know a lot of the big commotion was that black people felt like she was putting on a show.
Correct.
Like for you to have somewhat of a rally and then have Beyonce perform. Yeah. However, now I listen to Tesla and Figaro. You know, that is, and she's on the Breakfast Club. She's really big into politics. She was on Bernie's campaign. She does a lot of bringing people together for politics and things like that. But she was saying, like, look, you gotta have entertainment because you have to bring people out. So like she said, I'm not mad at her bringing out Beyonce or Megan Thee Stallion. However, at least let them talk about politics, because we're not just a people who just enjoy being entertained. Because I had questions the whole time she was running. What are your policies? All I heard about was reproductive rights. I'm like, that's cool and everything, but how we gonna get the money? I know you want to filter a ton of money into small businesses, but where's that money coming from? Yeah. And she really couldn't answer those questions.
Correct. Because they didn't give her enough time. Like, the Democrats gave her a disservice. Yeah. And it's like this. As a black woman, I support her. Right. I believe that she was the most qualified presidential candidate in the history of candidates, in the sense that she was
in the history of candidates.
In the history. You don't go from what, and I might be mixing them up, but attorney general. Yeah. It's another
prosecutor. But that's
that's at the bottom. That's at the bottom. Okay. So she passed her law degree. She's a prosecutor. She's an attorney general. She's a DA. She's a U.S. senator. She's a vice president. Mm-hmm. I don't believe there's ever been a candidate of president who has gone through each one of those steps.
With that resume.
I think her resume was the strongest in the history of candidates. But if you give anybody 100 days to go up to somebody who's had 10 years, and a billionaire who doesn't really have to, like, he can, if he wanted to, he could put up his own money. Yeah. You know, if he wanted to.
And as much as people can say, Trump is very entertaining. I mean, like, he literally, what did he say to the Democrats one time? Because I think the Democrats started running out of money. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay, Republicans, let's just contribute to their campaign. Yeah. Why would you go and say that? Yeah. Like, but like, he was dead serious. Like, he was like, we should all just go and contribute to their, like, just saying crazy stuff like that. But it's funny. But when it comes down to Kamala, it's like, she's kind of remind me of that black auntie. Like, you know what I'm saying? She go play with you for a little bit. Yeah. But when the hammer come down, the hammer will come down and you go know not to play with her.
She's a prosecutor.
She's a prosecutor. I have a question for you as a black man, because I know a lot of black men were pissed off at Kamala because she was prosecuting a lot of black men in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. How you feel about that? So, do you feel like that held her back as well?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But there's multiple ways to look at it.
I look at it as, you're a prosecutor. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to do, prosecute people. Yeah. But I don't know if I don't know if it was racial or. So
there's an interview that I would recommend you watch. Okay. And then you give your sentiment on it. I forget the year, but you can Google on YouTube. She had a Google interview. Okay. When I believe she was running for attorney general. Okay. And it's like an hour long interview on a public stage. And some of these things that she says terrified me. Because I wasn't in California when she was a senator, but I was in California when she was creating some of the laws up north, like in San Francisco, and some of those came down to California, or got down to Southern California. Okay. So, for instance, there was one law that she came up with, and I understand the reasoning behind it. The prisons in California by far were overcrowded. Okay. And so they were trying to figure out how to release people. And she's like, well, we shouldn't be releasing people just because it's overcrowded. They still need to serve their time. But then she made a plan to say, well, let's target why why these people keep going back into prisons. And so what she saw with their data, which I believe is accurate, that kids that had a lot of truancies, they were the ones that were going to prisons. And so she made a rule that said, well, if a kid is truant too much and the parent goes to jail,
Ooh.
and all of a sudden that triggered a lot of the moms.
Oh, Lord.
Was like, hold up. My kid's going to get me in to go to prison. I know for a fact that triggered my mom.
Yeah.
Because then I started getting my behind beat if the school called the house. And the thing is, a lot of times I was just late. I wasn't truant. I was just late. And I may have been late because my mom made me late. So it's like my mom makes me late. It's a reminder to her that I was late, but she's thinking I ditched. So I'm getting in trouble for something I didn't do.
Yeah.
And so it created a lot of friction. And then what she also found out in that was a lot of those kids actually had jobs because they were trying to provide for their household. So now you locked up the parent that the kid was trying to help provide for, and now they have no parent at the house. You're making matters worse.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, a lot of the parents, if they get locked up, then they lose the job that they had. So you've actually created worse situations for some of the most vulnerable people. And I understand I understand her reasoning behind it, but to a lot of the black people who felt that, it's like, you're not skin folk, like you're not kinfolk, because you're making it harder for us. And if you watch that interview, she knows the power that she has. Now, I think that once she makes those power moves, she might try to correct it, make things a little bit better,
Smooth it over. Yeah.
But there's reasons why a lot of black people in California feel the way they do. I don't know how much is to blame on her specifically, but for sure they have reasons to feel like that, because I got my behind beat personally because of rules like that when I didn't do anything really wrong outside of be late. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is layered. I mean, this is layered. I got more financial questions. How much time we got with you?
I got, look, I it's like this. I'll be in Africa soon.
And look, we still got the wine over there if you want. He ain't want no wine, y'all. But look, we still got it over there. Okay. More fire round questions because I love these and I want to pick your brain. Are credit cards a tool or a trap?
Both. Every asset.
These supposed to be fire round, and then you make me want to know more.
Every asset can be a liability, and every liability can be an asset.
Okay.
So you just how you use it.
Okay. Roth IRA or 401k?
Bitcoin.
Wait. Okay. Stocks or crypto?
Bitcoin.
Okay. Biggest financial mistake you've ever made?
Not realizing that the 50-ish Bitcoins I had in college were going to be worth something, because I started to use them.
Wait a minute. You could have 50 Bitcoins in college?
But it wasn't worth a lot of money back then.
It don't matter.
I didn't know that then. So the biggest financial mistake I ever did.
You sold them.
I didn't understand how to move it off the wallet.
Okay.
So like they used to have like this, it was like a leaky faucet thing. And I knew that Bitcoin may have been worth maybe $5-ish. I don't remember the exact amount.
So you did have it.
Yeah.
You had it a long time ago.
I did, yeah.
You told me you didn't get it till 2016.
No, it was before that. No, I didn't understand what I was doing.
You didn't understand what you was doing until
2017.
Until 2017. Okay, I got you.
I was looking at these things are worth like $5.
Right.
And I need some money. And so all you got to do is certain weird tasks and like play games and download stuff. So I was just like, I could do this while I'm at work. I was a calculus tutor. Not everybody like needed calculus at the time. So
right.
I'm over here doing all this fun stuff. I'm like, man, I done made $250.
Yeah.
Thinking if each Bitcoin was worth $5. I'm thinking, I got $250. How do I cash out? I didn't know how to cash out. I didn't know what I was doing, because back then it was a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
And so I gave up. I just didn't care anymore because it was only $250.
Right.
I wasn't about to do the most because it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
That computer is gone somewhere, threw it away long time ago.
So they technically, you still have them somewhere on the computer.
Yeah.
That you don't know but the computer is destroyed.
Somewhere, probably in a landfill or something. I have no idea.
It's only 21 million.
It's only 21
And
minutes.
I know what 50 of them Jones said.
Somewhere in the landfill.
Somewhere in the landfill.
Like,
okay.
I'm not even going to, I don't even stress myself out thinking about that one.
That's crazy. I mean, hey, but that goes to show you that you make good investment decisions. So
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That was like maybe 2011.
Okay.
2012. So whatever it was then, because most of the time we talked about Bitcoin, it was Silk Road and something illegal. So I didn't look at it as an investment.
Yeah.
I just looked at it as a quick hustle to get, $250 by doing weird tasks on the internet. And now I'm looking and I'm like, had I actually taken the time to know what I was doing. But I mean, I didn't learn until 2017. So we're talking 5 years later.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stress myself. But that was the worst financial thing I probably did, was not putting the time to figure out how to get it off the exchange. But even if I did, I would have sold it. So
yeah. Well, only invest what you can lose. So makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Buy or lease a car?
It depends.
It depends. Because Jay-Z said you got to own everything. I think it could be situational.
Yeah, because most cars aren't assets. So,
except a Jeep Wrangler, they're the only ones that go up in value.
Yeah,
from what I've seen.
Some certain ones do.
Yeah.
Leasing is for wealthy people. The entire lease can be written off. You can take it directly to the dealer. They'll do all the maintenance. And you can upgrade typically every 1 or 2 years. So you get to keep up with the Joneses. So leasing is good for a certain demographic.
Okay.
Payments are good if you made a good investment to buy. So for instance, if you get a car that is worth $6,000 and you buy it for $6,000 plus 5% interest, that might be better. But if you're buying a car that's worth $6,000 and you're buying it for $10,000 and your interest rate is 20% then that's insane.
Yeah.
And a lot of Black Americans, not just Black, but a lot of people in this country, they don't understand money.
Yeah.
And so they get caught up with, how much is my payment? Oh, I can make it. The payment doesn't matter. It's really about what's your total amount that you're paying for this car. And if you have a $6,000 car and you multiply all your payments by all the years that you're paying it on, that's what you should be paying attention to. And so a lot of people, if the car is worth $6,000, they're wanting to paying $18,000 on the car over 5, 6, 7 years. And it's like, by the time you own it, that car
has lost so
depreciated.
much value. Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just make sure that you're buying a car for what it's worth, go on Kelley Blue Book, and then to make sure that the amount that you're paying on it makes sense. If you wind up paying $7,000 on a $6,000 car because of interest, it's probably better to get the payments.
Okay.
But if it's $18,000 on a $6,000 car, then that's not an investment. That's a debt trap.
Okay. And for this 6,000 pound rule, this because you can write off a car if it's over 6,000 pounds. How much of a car can you write off per year if it's over 6,000 pounds? Obviously, if it's under a business.
Yeah, so that's multi-layered. So Section 179 depreciation came into play in 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and so that allows you to write off the whole car typically in the first year.
The whole car?
Yeah.
Like if I got a Benz truck, G63, $150K. I can write off $150,000.
There's a lot of people who figure out the ways to legally do that. Yeah. Now there's you got to make sure don't just do it without knowing what you're doing. But
we are not financial advisors. Please consult
right.
your financial professional before making any decisions.
Because you might know something mentally, but then operations wise not do it correctly.
I got you.
So there's a lot of people who they're like, hey, I owe 40, 50,000 in taxes because we'll do so actually this time right now is the time we do forecasting where we pay attention. Okay, well, how are we going to limit your 2024 taxes? And so I'm talking to all my clients this weekend on my travels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, let's work on this.
Okay.
And so we might say, oh, you're targeted to owe about 40,000. And they're like, well, how much do I got to spend in order to get that down to zero? I might say 100,000, and they spend $100,000. They might just buy that car that you're talking about and then owe nothing on taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like now they have a car that they can put on to, lease it out to people and make money on it, because then it's an asset because it's bringing them money, and it lowered their tax bill by $40,000. So it's bringing them money in two different ways.
That makes sense. Okay, I was listening to Grant Cardone. You familiar with Grant Cardone?
A little bit. I know he does a lot of real estate stuff.
He does a lot of real estate. He does a lot of sales. He used to be a car salesman. So he teaches a lot about like pitching and marketing and things like that. But super rich guy. I mean, he's rich. But he was saying that, like, I guess he did the forecast and he saw that he was going to owe $2 million. So he bought a jet.
Yeah.
That was worth $2 million. Because he said, and when he said it, this was years ago, and I didn't really understand it until now. I'm like, how did you know you owe and then had enough time to buy a jet? It didn't make sense to me, but it makes sense now. And he wrote it off. So then the tax bill was zero.
I do that with all my clients that are month to month, that pay monthly. I go through a forecast with all of them.
So okay, so now I got to get into the business, because we have financial podcasts, and I love talking to business owners. You are a CPA who specializes in crypto. Okay, but you are CPA, so you specialize in taxes.
Correct.
And you help file taxes as well, because I know there's some CPAs who don't do taxes.
Correct.
Are you contracting out like a bookkeeper as well, or is it all you?
So I have a bookkeeper. His name's Alexander Franklin.
Got you. Okay.
He passed his CPA exam as well.
Okay.
He's just waiting to be completely licensed.
Okay.
And we work decentralized. He's based in California. Okay. And we're actively trying to figure out the next moves, because one thing about Bitcoin is that it has like an 80% return year over year.
80% is crazy when the stock market is 13.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
On average. So one of the things that I'm looking at is, well, is it really, if we hire somebody, are we going to make an 80% return on hiring them? Or do we just put our excess money into Bitcoin and just make it passively without doing any extra work? So these are discussions that we're having now as a team, because it's like, well, do we want to take on more work, or do we just want to just be happy with what we're at and do things that we like to do, like podcasts, writing books, having clothing lines? Yeah. I love doing that. I don't like actually, doing crunching and punching.
Administrative, yeah.
So we're working on that. We're trying to figure out the next vision of it, and I think a lot of that's
seemed like y'all like a if you know
correct
type of business, because I couldn't find the name of your business or anything. Like, is it a name for it? Or
Smart Guy Taxes.
Smart Guy Taxes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's up. And I was working with a tax specialist one time, not a CPA, but it seemed like y'all kind of do the same thing. This was my first introduction to taxes. I tell you, this year, CPA, taxes, lawyer, legal stuff were my biggest fear. Like coming into Q1 January, I had no idea. I mean, like they say most millionaires are first generation. I hit $1 million in my net worth. I'm not sure if anybody in my family had hit that before. Yeah. But when it came down to renovating houses and like, all of these expenses and depreciation from owning real estate, I was like, I'm gonna have to get a CPA on my team. Yeah. I didn't know any, especially nobody black.
Correct.
So I went to 1-800-ACCOUNTANT. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but it's kind of like a assembly line for accountants. Like, it's like you can talk to it. You have one primary one, but their calendar is so booked. You can maybe talk to them once a month. Maybe it's some type of messaging tool that they use that you can message them. They did my taxes perfectly. Loved how they did how they did my taxes. But I needed somebody I could call. Like I want to, if I'm having an issue, I need to call you and be like, "What's going on with this?" Yeah. So I appreciate you for coming on, because I think you're the second CPA I've had on. One was a bookkeeper who should be a CPA, but like it's like y'all hard to find out here. But if you have somebody like you who can break these things down, it makes me feel a lot more confident about filing my taxes.
Yeah, I mean, that is very multi-layered. So first, I went on tour for 2 years teaching about Bitcoin and crypto. Okay. And one of the things that bothered me the most is when I would say, hey, I'm a CPA. the vast majority of black people had no idea what that was.
Yep.
And a lot of them even were like, "Are you CPS? Like you're trying to take our kids?"
Oh,
and I was like, "Oh, you literally have no concept of a CPA."
Oh.
And when the majority of the white clients I get are like 25-ish and younger, and they're multimillionaires because they got into crypto, but their parent CPAs don't know crypto. So their parent CPAs are, we don't know anybody in that industry, and they're scared because they're like, you should get out of this, risky.
Yeah.
But the kids are like, no. And they get on Twitter, and they find, man, this CJ the smart guy, he knows what he's talking about. And so they wind up hitting me up. They know how to utilize a CPA because of their parents. So they know exactly what questions to ask. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what to prepare. And these kids are 25 and younger. They've been prepared for this.
Yeah.
In our communities, they don't know the first steps. They don't know how to use me. They get triggered by the things I say.
Yeah.
Because if I say something as simple as, well, Trump has championed the crypto community, right? A lot of the people who understand how a CPA operates, they're just going to take that for face value. They could hate the man.
Yeah.
They just will take what I'm saying as face value. A lot of people in our community, they just want to argue with me. And I'm like, why are you arguing? Before I quit my job, I was working for BNSF Railway, which is owned by Warren Buffett. So like the financial statements I would create would literally say to Warren Buffett, and he would make billion-dollar decisions based off of the information I provided. So I treat people like executives, and you can make your own decisions. I'm not a propaganda person.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people in our community, they mistake me for propaganda or a plant or something. All I'm doing is presenting you the information.
The facts, yeah.
And this community takes advantage of what I say.
Yeah. They
utilize it for their own personal gain, and you are rejecting me. And the feeling of it is weird because as of right now, I have 270 some clients.
Yeah.
You had mentioned if I'm hiring people, I have the option to grow.
Yeah.
Or have the option to downsize.
Right.
And the only reason I wanted to increase in the first place was because I had a lot of black people asking me for jobs, and a lot of black people saying, hey, I need your services. Well, the friction that it creates is it worth me doing all of this? Like, is it worth me putting this all on my back, going to the Urban League conferences, not getting, recognition? Is it worth doing that? Or should I just stay in my lane in the crypto space, because they love me regardless, black or white. They respect me, they love me. Or do I go to Africa and actually just do something for me?
Yeah.
And so these are the things that I'm actively thinking about now, whether therapy, through running. It's like, what do I really want? Do I really want to stress myself out over trying to help people that attack me because they're triggered over the things I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I haven't really, figured out everything yet, but I think me coming on these podcasts for free, the long conversation, hopefully that can get to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So at least they understand what a CPA is. They understand, oh, this is what this is. So that hopefully they're not as triggered with the next one, because in the CPA world, less than 1% of CPAs are black. And we only make up 13% of the population. If less than 1% of CPAs are black, that's why you have to go into a 1-800 accountants, because most CPAs are wealthy after working for 10 years. So they
don't have to work as a CPA anymore. Interesting.
And we don't need your business. Because to be honest with you, if I just kept my top 10 clients, I eat fine.
Dang.
So why would I don't need to expand.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
You don't need to scale.
I don't need to scale.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, man, you should do promo and all this stuff for your podcast. I'm like, no, if I only get 50 views, if I get 3 clients from that, like, my conversion rate's high. So it's like, I don't need to have 1 million views.
Yeah.
I'm not a rapper where, I need the streams to provide me income. If people listen to me, the income's going to come because I'm good at what I do.
Yeah. Well, also something I was thinking about today, I feel like a lot of people in the black community, I'll speak for me personally, but when I was growing up, it seemed like my mom was very like defensive towards things, people, services that she was not aware of. And she went into it thinking that somebody was trying to take advantage of her.
Correct.
Which is what I do now. And it's crazy because like I moved my mom in with me, and living with your mom, the person who created you, the people who raised you, is like you're literally learning about yourself every single day. And that's why I said that this is for me, because I don't want to put my experience on anybody else. But it resonates with what you're saying, because I go into situations defensive as well, especially when it comes to CPA, because I'm like, well, you know, I could try to find somebody on Facebook. I didn't know where to find one. I'm like, I could like ask for recommendations and things like that. When I did ask for recommendations, they didn't pop up. Or like if I saw, if I Googled the person or business, they wouldn't have any reviews. So it's like, I might as well just go to a 1-800 account. And I paid them like $3,000 for the year. Didn't meet with them. Maybe I met with them like maybe twice that year. And the way they sold it to me was they gave me an abundant amount of information. They were backed by a ton of different reviews, backed by, I'm sure, $1 million marketing budgets, who basically told me that they were proven to help me and be good people. And so that's why I went with them. But I was thinking about it too. I'm like, would I have gone with somebody black or like somebody I know if it was recommended to me? Because of that defense mechanism that we have. And like you were saying too, like you don't worry about the type of things that normal day-to-day people, maybe who growing up in the struggle or who are in the struggle right now, you don't worry about that. I don't worry about that either. And taking it back to politics, when I'm, you know, a lot of times when you're growing up, the people who you grow up with, they tell you to vote Democrat, especially in a black household. And I used to ask why. When I started making money, I started asking why again. And they were like, oh, we black, we vote for Democrats. But that's not a good answer for me. And then it came down to the answer that I got was, oh, well, Trump will take away our food stamps if he gets into office. I'm like, well, that don't resonate with me because I don't get food stamps. So it's like the knowledge is not there, and it seems like there's not a thirst for the knowledge. And it's like, it's heartbreaking. So just like we were talking about before, I feel like you can't really keep blaming racism for every little thing that goes wrong. Now, I'm not discounting the fact that we are way behind because of it. But it's not a lot of people out here who really trying to get ahead.
Yeah. So the first question I normally ask people is like, if I'm on tour or whatever, I'll ask them, what is money? Like what makes money? And it's so amazing that hardly anybody can answer the question in terms of what is money. Yeah. And it's like, so you mean to tell me you work 40 plus hours a week for something that you haven't trying to figure out what it is? Yeah. And that's so crazy.
My co-host isn't here, but that's usually the first question she asks. What's your relationship with money? What is it? And Bitcoin is actually how I got into that mindset and started asking myself that question, because I'm like, wait a minute, how did money become created? And then I found out, well, we didn't have money back in the day. It was a bartering system. So like if I wanted burger for dinner, you had a cow, you wanted chicken, I had chicken, we would barter. But what happens when I don't want a cow and you don't want a chicken? Now we need currency. So so I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then I started to realize that retirement is not an age. It's a dollar amount.
Correct.
So, like, you know, but these things it's a different mindset to understand and digest these things.
Correct. And that's why I've spent 2 years traveling the country, 30 plus cities each year. That's why I've been on Clubhouse during the pandemic. That's why I went to the conference with the Urban League. That's why I've done these things, because I recognize there's a deficiency in the knowledge of what is money. And we actually have a solution already created. And whether Bitcoin was created by a black person or not, DeFi was created by a black man. We invented this to free ourselves.
That's crazy.
And the Democrats didn't give us any attention. They didn't support us. But who did was Trump. Trump said, oh, this is what y'all want? Hey, you're an industry. I get some votes out of this. y'all gonna give me some money? I'll champion you, no problem. And it was like the Democrats didn't.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, they were like, we're going to attack this freedom money. One thing I say is that Bitcoin is the best invention for black people since the cotton gin.
Do you think Satoshi was black?
That's what Sinclair Skinner says. Sinclair Skinner literally has a shirt that says Satoshi is black. Uh-huh.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And Naja Roberts says that Satoshi was a black woman.
Oh, okay.
Because it's freedom money.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, I cut you off. You were about to say something about the cotton gin.
Yeah. Because think about it. We were all slaves.
Yeah.
And there was a black man named Lewis Latimer who created the cotton gin to where it can, increase the amount of cotton production at a rapid level.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people have told me, well, that just helped out the white man. What are you talking about? Yeah, for 67 years.
Yeah.
But it led to our freedom.
Yeah.
Because as the cotton gin created more and more cotton, yes, it may have been more difficult to pick out the seeds. It may have been more difficult for us in the short term. But what it did is it created an influx of cotton to where now you have so much supply that the price, the profit margins went down for the North. So if the South is growing it and the North is selling it overseas, the North is saying, hey, you can't have this much cotton because we can't sell it for as much because it was too much. There's supply and demand. The South is like, hey, this is how we make our living. We're not, what are you talking about? Shut up. We're giving you much cotton. Go sell it. And it got so bad that the North was like, hey, then get rid of your slaves because you're creating all this cotton for free. We need the production to go down. The South is like, no. The North is like, yes. So they came with a compromise and said, okay, we're just not going to import any more slaves. How about that? We'll slow it down. And eventually they said, okay, we're going to have to get rid of slavery because you are messing up our northern financial system because there's an inflation of cotton. So Lewis Latimer invented the cotton gin. 67 years later, it freed the slaves. Yes, white people got rich off of it for the southern white people got rich off of it for a while, but eventually led to black freedom. Did the black man get any credit for it? Not really. Bitcoin to me seems something very similar, where it's like this invention was created. It has the potential to free black people. The only reason Trump and all them are championing it is because they're going to get rich off of this.
Yeah.
But when they get rich, we get free.
History repeats itself.
History repeats itself. So it's like that 67 years that we may have struggled during that, I'm not focused on that. I'm focused, but it led us to freedom. Bitcoin will lead us to freedom because when the central bank digital currency gets here, whenever that is, and all of a sudden people can't transact without the government approval, how are you going to be able to transact? You're at their mercy. Bitcoin is the only thing that moment that you can move that's not going to be at their mercy because the system is set up to be a peer-to-peer digital cash system.
Yeah.
So we don't even understand the freedom that we're being given because we're not even in the chains yet. The central bank digital currency is the chains.
Yeah.
And they're doing those live testings in 2025. Project 2025. Like,
you just closed that loop.
You get what I'm saying?
You just closed that loop, yeah.
So why are the Democrats ignoring us? You get what I'm saying? Now, I'll say Cory Booker, a Democrat from New Jersey, he wasn't ignoring us. And so I'll continue with the 100 days, Kamala's let in. She didn't show to the Bitcoin conference. She'd only been around for like 2 days in terms, like 2 or 3 days of the 100 days. So I couldn't blame her for that.
Right.
I presented it. RFK is a real Bitcoiner. Trump just championed us. However, a lot of the people at that Bitcoin
You talking about
conference,
Robert F. Kennedy, right? Okay, I got a problem with that part. Because, not him, but he was running as a Democrat at first. Because I signed that petition to get him on there. But then it seemed like when Kamala got on the ballot, he switched to Republican and then was being championed by Trump. And I don't know what type of move that was.
Yeah.
It makes sense now that you said that he's a Bitcoiner. But like, it make me feel some type of way that I signed a petition to say that I wanted you to be running as a Democratic candidate, but now you're being championed by Trump.
Yeah.
So is that another instance of him following the money? Or
so
because if he was running for Democrat, then he would have had we would have had a Bitcoiner as a Democrat presidential candidate.
So I can't speak on him individually.
Okay.
But I can paint a picture for you.
Okay.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Uh-huh.
RFK.
Okay.
These are all previous Democrats.
Yes.
That now are Trumpers.
Yeah.
Something somewhere switched all three of them from, because they were all pro-Obama.
Yeah.
Or, you know, they were on Obama's side.
Yeah.
Whether they were like 100% behind him or not, Elon Musk and Obama's had plenty of meetings, and they creativity. Joe Rogan didn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, these are new phenomenons.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we're not paying attention, we're grouping all of them in one category. But in reality, I think that a lot of them followed the money like I did, because I was a Bernie person.
Yeah.
And somehow, some way, during Biden's campaign, I came to the realization that I'm gonna have to support Trump. Like, it wasn't like I'm not a MAGA. I'm not wearing hats and doing all that.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm a following the money, and I see the money is better in our community if somebody doesn't make an accredited investor rule for Bitcoin. And so that's what I'm doing. Kamala gets in, all of a sudden everything is just shaking and shifting.
Yeah.
And so, like, these black women, they united very quickly.
Yeah.
So we have like Cleve Mesidor, Tanya Evans. They came up with something called Crypto for Harris.
Oh, wow.
They raised millions of dollars for her. Millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And gave her a list of things that they wanted.
Yeah.
None of those things came out into her policies.
Oh, man.
So a couple mistakes that she made: A, not going to the Bitcoin conference. B, she didn't listen to the people that were staunch. Like, they didn't even want to talk to somebody who wasn't supporting Harris. They were like, this is our woman. Is Trump versus her? Like, it was no, like, Professor or Dr. Evans, she's a lawyer, just like Kamala. She teaches at Howard University, and she's in the LGBTQ. So she's like, how dare you not go for her?
She hitting all the marks that the Democrats is running on.
Why aren't you listening to her?
Yeah.
Why aren't you? What is the reasoning behind you not listening to the experts that you should be listening to? And then the nerve to come out with a plan for black men in the digital space and not listen to black men, because when that came out, so it took her a long time to come out with policies.
Yeah.
But when she did, there was something in there for black men where basically wanted to protect us from digital assets. Well, a lot of the black women were mad because they're like, well, why are we not included in this?
Yeah.
And the black men were like, we never asked for protection. Pay Reggie Middleton. You're a prosecutor. Prosecute all these companies that aren't paying Reggie Middleton his money.
Yeah.
There was an open chance for her to win. And the thing is the big money, when they went to the Bitcoin conference, a lot of them, and this is a lot of the liberal white guys, they were like, this does not feel like a Bitcoin conference anymore. This feels like a Trump rally. So a lot of them had hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, let's see what Kamala's about. In some interview, they asked her, what's the difference between your platform and Joe Biden's? And she was like, there's no real difference. And that sent shockwaves through the crypto community.
Oh, no.
Because it was like, oh, you're anti-crypto also? And so all those liberal white people, they're like, well,
yeah,
I guess we got to go for Trump.
Yeah.
Because most people in the crypto space are one-issue voters. The vast majority. Like, I mean, we've got LGBT people that are one-issue voters in it. We've got feminists in it.
Yeah.
We've got black people in it. We've got every demographic that you could think about. A lot of them are one-issue voters. And so as I'm at these conferences, I'm telling people.
Yeah.
But instead of them taking the information, utilizing a CPA, they're getting triggered and they fight me, they argue with me. But now everything is right. Like everything I said is now coming to fruition. And so a lot of that money that could have gone to Kamala, it went to Trump.
Yeah.
And then you're dealing with the staunch MAGA people, because now they're now emboldened now because they've got plenty of money. They can say they can do whatever they want. And so like now they start putting money in strategic places where there's a lot of crypto people, where there's a lot of black people, where there's a lot of minorities, and they start giving a lot of that money to us. Yeah. And they're like,
but what is the argument though? Like, what are they saying to conflict with what you're saying? Are they saying like, oh, Trump is a racist? Is that what they're kind of coming back at you with? Or what are these people saying to argue with you?
I mean, that's one of them.
It's one of them.
But it's also, it's the miseducation on everything.
Yeah.
So you would think, at least I would think, that if I say, hey, I'm a CPA, that you would just automatically know, oh.
Yeah. He might know.
He knows something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that test is not, it's one of the hardest, top 3 hardest tests in the country.
Yeah.
So it's like, you would just think that, just like if somebody says, hey, I'm a lawyer, you would at least think that they know something about the law.
Yeah.
There's lots of different nuances. Yeah. So it might not be you specifically, but I'm not going to argue with a lawyer about the law.
Like what is one thing that you remember that you said and you and somebody got so pissed and they said, yeah, you said this, but I feel this way. What is something that you remember?
I'll never forget it. It was this woman in Houston. God bless her soul.
God bless her.
But I was telling her about
I can see you getting upset all over.
Yeah, because it's triggering.
Yeah.
I was at Houston and I was talking about taxes being raised. Okay. Because Biden raised the tax rates, which made people pay more taxes. And I was saying that that's not a good thing, because then we have people like me have less money to be able to come to neighborhoods for you to give you free education. Yeah. And she was like, no, they've got to pay their taxes. And I was like, well, you realize you're trying to tell me that I have to pay more taxes. It's like, well, yeah, I need like you said, I need my food stamps. I need my services. And I'm like, so you don't recognize that I'm coming to your neighborhood for free to teach you? Like, I'm actually utilizing my money, my time, my energy to teach you. And you are actively saying that I need to pay more so that you could get a handout from the government. Yeah. So you're choosing the government handouts over my handouts, which that pisses me off. Yeah. Because I'm doing this out of love. Yeah. They're doing it out of pandering. And you're so addicted to the pandering and the free handouts that you don't even see that I'm giving you so much more. Yeah. And that bothers me. Because it's like, you want me to suffer for your goodness while I'm already trying to give you goodness out of the love of my heart. Yeah. And you're rejecting that because you want something that's not out of love. That is a major problem, because let's take it back to the 60s. The Black Panthers were the ones providing a lot of these services. Yeah. And the government destroyed them and then started to provide those same services. So it's like, if the Black Panthers were doing that with hardly any money, and they were making sure that people were fed, making sure people were in the schools, why does the government need all these trillions of dollars to do a less effective job?
Yeah. I think the thing too is that information, a lot of us don't see information as monetized. But information to me is a commodity, because back in the day, like, information, you had to have money to get it, right? Like, you had to have money to buy books. It wasn't no internet. Like, you had to know somebody or be in some type of group. Nowadays, information is so infinite because you have the internet that people don't really realize the value in it. Or at least people who've been, in the projects for years. Because it's generational project people that, that's all they know. That's all they want to know. Like, they're not really trying to get ahead in any type of way. They're comfortable, right? Yeah. They can do a less work to live a pretty good life, because it's a ton of Benzes in the hood. You know, like you riding in a nice car,
For sure.
you going home to the cinder block walls, but you cool because your people there. Like you, so I think it's a big disconnect. However, like it's so hard to have this conversation because I don't want to discount the fact that we were put in these situations.
Correct.
So like I am empathetic towards it. However, it is concerning.
Correct.
And it does, especially when you're the person who is there, who are like, who's trying to like instill this information into this community. Because for one, you got 2 degrees.
Correct.
Okay. You got your CPA. Those things were not cheap to get.
Correct.
And you charge for this. Like, let's be clear. He charges for this information.
Correct.
And he don't have to work a 9 to 5. This is what you do.
Correct.
Like, so the fact that you're going to these places and doing this for free, unfortunately, people don't realize that that's a blessing. Because you could, I mean, honestly, I done paid some money for a conference. Like, I think the most I've paid is probably like $600, but conferences go up to $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 to hear somebody like you speak.
Correct.
And you were giving this away for free.
Correct.
Unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize that.
And that window is over.
Yeah.
Like that window of free. Like now you might hear a podcast.
Yeah.
But at this point, me going to speak for free is that stage is over.
Yeah.
Like there.
Yeah.
Now my time, I'm valuing it more.
Yeah.
And to me, everything I've been saying since 2017 now is being validated. Bitcoin's almost at 100.
Yeah.
So now anybody says that you're wrong, it's like at this point I'm not going to argue with somebody who just can't accept the reality that everything is changing. Like you can't save everybody. Harriet Tubman couldn't save everybody. So it's like,
ooh,
you know, I've done what I'm supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
I'm at peace with how much I've put in.
Yeah.
Now I need to be at peace with my own life, because I look back at all the sacrifices I did, and I'm like, if I had just been selfish and put that all into Bitcoin, I'd be a super baller right now.
Yeah.
But I always look at it like, well, what good is, you know, having all the riches of the world if you give up your soul? And who wants to be rich and all your friends are poor?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so
that's true.
I took the, hey, do this. And if 2% of the people I talk to listen, hey, if I talk to 10,000 people, if I got 200 people that actually listen, then now when things are good, I've got 200 people in my community that I can actually trade and sell peer to peer without a middleman. And who knows, if they decide to put the mark of the beast on a hand or a forehead or the central bank digital currency, now we have the wisdom to be able to transact outside of their system, because wisdom is important. Yeah.
And it seems like you do a lot of networking across, because a lot of people network up, which is cool. You can network up, but I feel like you get the most value in the most intrinsic value in networking across. And all this stuff you talking about Bitcoin now, a lot of stuff about cryptography, I don't really understand it. All I know is Elon Musk did not make no money off of Teslas for a long time. That P&L sheet said that Tesla made money from Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to know. I ain't even need you follow the money. And this is when controversy was big around Bitcoin. A lot of scams and things were going on. But I'm like, shoot, they didn't say Bitcoin itself was a scam. It's just the people that were selling it were scams. So what is, and we're going to end soon, but what is a way, and we might have already talked about this, because the big thing is scams right now, scam culture. And brokerage is going bankrupt. How us and I'm just talking to the black community right now, if you could talk to the black community right now, this is a commodity that we can tap into right now. This can form our own reparations.
Correct. Which is what Naja talks about all the time.
Yeah. Just give us a little, I guess, advice on your, like, how you recommend getting into this and staying safe.
So A is reading the Bitcoin
white paper. Yeah.
That's the very first thing that I think that everybody should do, so that they understand the concept of what are they doing. Because Bitcoin's only a computer software.
Yeah.
That's all this is. It's really a scorekeeper. because of the blockchain. You can keep the score of who has what. That's really all it is. Because technically, you never have a physical Bitcoin. It's all digital.
That's what I want to ask. Yeah. What is, because I understand anything other than Bitcoin to me is a gamble. I mean, it feels like
it's a company.
Yeah, a company is. It feels like I don't know. It feels like a roulette to me. Anything other than Bitcoin. That's the only one that has proven the test of time, and Ethereum, because a lot of the coins are on the Ethereum network. But when it comes down to these coins, what are they? Is it just because it's not backed by Bitcoin is backed by the blockchain, but these other systems, like I remember I was investing in Mana, and I think that was backed by some type of mission. Oh, was Mana backed by like a video game, Atari or something like that? It was backed by something, and then a few other coins I saw were backed by just missions, and I didn't really understand what I was investing in. So where are these coins?
So just understand this. So when we go back to what is money?
Yeah.
Money is simply a tool to be able to exchange value.
Okay.
Like you said, if you have a cow,
yeah,
and I have chickens,
yeah,
how much of that cow is going to be this chicken? It's very difficult because you have to chop up the cow, or you have to have multiple chickens.
Yeah.
And like it becomes more difficult. So money is created as a medium of exchange.
Yeah.
So the first thing you think about with crypto is a medium of exchange. All cryptos are medium exchanges. So it's better than bartering. The second piece has to be divisible. Because if it's not divisible, if you can't chop up the cow, if you can't have multiple chickens, then you can't have an even value. So people talk about, well, Bitcoin costs too much, but it's divisible. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Same with all cryptos.
You can buy a piece of a piece of a piece.
A piece of a piece of a piece.
Yeah.
The third part is that with money, a medium of exchange, divisible, and
is it liquidity? Not liquidity.
Not liquidity. It'll come to me.
Yeah.
But essentially, people have to accept it as valuable. Scarcity. There we go.
Scarcity. Okay.
So trees, branches, leaves. We don't use leaves for money because it continuously just grows, and anybody can just go get the leaves.
Yeah.
It's decentralized. It's decentralized, but they can't actually keep up with how many leaves are out there. So it's not a good scoreboard because we don't know how many leaves are actually out there.
Okay.
Gold was used because it's scarce.
Yeah.
And it was assumed that we found as much gold was in the world. Now, that has been proven false. Uganda just found a bunch of gold.
What?
And I think China just found a bunch of gold.
Okay.
So we don't know how much gold is in this world. So it's not a great form of money. Bitcoin has a set scarcity of 21 million.
Okay.
So when we look at those three properties, and then you look at all these other cryptocurrencies, is there a scarcity amount? Most of them are no.
Okay.
So it's not backed by nothing. Doge.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They can print it out whenever they want. XRP, they can print it out whenever they want.
Yeah.
Just like the US dollar. The Federal Reserve can print it whenever they want. So we complain about prices going up. That's because the Federal Reserve printed more money.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing is, if you make more money to keep up with inflation, your tax rate goes up. So if you're not getting hit by inflation, you're getting hit by taxes.
Yeah.
You're getting hit on both sides.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is nothing like that. Bitcoin, you just hold it. And because they keep printing more money, you're taking advantage of them printing more money, and you're chilling. You're not doing anything. So really, with Bitcoin, all you got to do is buy it.
Yeah.
Or earn it.
Yeah.
Put on your cold wallet so you own it.
Okay.
Protect your private keys with your life. And chill.
Do you recommend a certain cold wallet?
There's levels to it.
Okay.
The easiest ways, you have the cold card, you have a ledger, you have a Trezor. If you get one of those, always get it directly from the vendor. Don't go through like a third party, because somebody can easily buy it, figure out, get the coal and repackage it and sell it to you. And then since they have the keys, they can move.
Oh, okay. I got you.
I also don't trust, at this point in my life, I don't even trust the manufacturers. Because I'm like, man, the government can go inside of there and do the same thing.
Yeah. What about like a MetaMask? The online cold wallet.
Anything online I don't trust.
No. Okay.
Anything.
Okay.
Nothing online.
Okay. Okay.
That's for sure.
Okay.
But at this point, I'm getting away from even like the hardware wallets. The next thing is to have like an air gap computer. Air gap meaning it doesn't have the ability to connect to the internet. So that you can keep all the information on that stuff.
Okay.
But that's more advanced.
Yeah.
But the easiest way, Cold Card, Trezor, Ledger, I get the cheapest ones.
Okay.
I don't want all the extra I don't want Bluetooth capability.
Yeah.
Because I feel like somebody can hack it eventually. Like,
you know what I think would be a good business venture for you? Is for you to hold people's ledgers.
Oh, no. Why would I do that?
Because a lot of people like me don't want to keep up with all of the numbers and codes and
I'm
stuff.
not trying to get attacked like that. If people know I got hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, no.
They're not going to know it's you. They're not going to know it's you. But if you did it under like an alias, okay, not a good idea.
I'm not touching
that.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's bad enough that Bitcoin's at 100,000 and people think I'm rich. I'm like, look, I was broke when I was doing all this stuff. I'm just happy to be off zero.
Right.
Like no, I don't need any of that.
Is CJ the smart guy dating?
No.
What?
Not
Why you
all.
say it like that? You're not interested in it right now?
Not at all.
Okay.
During the pandemic, there was a woman I was seeing, and it's like this for 8 years. She was one of the women I was trying to get with.
Oh, okay. Dang.
And it finally
you worked
happened.
hard for that.
I worked very hard, and I was very happy. It's unfortunate during the pandemic, she was an ambivert, so she did very well during the pandemic.
Okay.
And I am an extrovert. I struggled during the pandemic.
Okay.
So it brought out a lot of the issues that I already had.
Okay.
Talk about the traumas from high school.
Yeah.
Getting shot at, people putting drugs on me, all the friends getting murdered, Nipsey getting murdered, my cousin getting murdered. Like, it was just so many things, and all of a sudden now you have to sit with yourself in a house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so instead of me getting the energy from other people, now I'm just having to sit with all these things. And as she's doing well in life, it appears that I'm falling. So we start off equally yoked. We started moving this way. Now the whole time I'm talking about Bitcoin and all this stuff. I'm on Clubhouse. The way that it appeared was, you're just on this Clubhouse app and you're talking about this fake money. And meanwhile, it's just going down during this time period. So you understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this in 2020.
Yeah.
If I forget when we got together, but it was when the price was probably in the 40s or 50s.
Oh, wow.
And then by the time she completely broke up with me, the price was already down. Dang. So it appears that I'm just on this Clubhouse, on this little toy app, not going to work, not no job.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about, the price is going down.
Yeah.
And so it just appears this guy's not doing much. And so she definitely got rid of me in a heartbeat. So it was like, if that was the one I was trying to get with for that long, because I knew her value. She did fantastic during the pandemic. She's a doctor. She got opportunities to go around the world.
Oh, wow.
She was also in music videos. She was doing Fashion Week as a model. So her life just increased while mine was miserable. And I think that that exposure showed her, I could do better. I think her friends seen that. And then as I'm dealing with all the traumas, because I'm staying in the house as an extrovert, I understand her decision. But at this point now, it's like, well, now Bitcoin's at over 100,000. Now I'm actually about to travel the world also. And I earned it on my own. I don't have to go back in the office. So it's like, there's ups and downs with things. But I haven't fully recovered from that yet.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to put somebody else in that position, because I still have a lot of healing to do from that.
Yeah.
Because
I understand that.
Yeah.
And that's smart to do, because you could just go, well, are you dating at least? Like, are you not, you just To yourself.
I'm
You
celibate,
not messing
and
with nobody. I got you.
I run marathons.
Yeah.
I just wear myself out.
Which is a crazy correlation because the whole Nipsey is a marathon, not a sprint, and then you run marathons.
Yeah.
That's a crazy correlation.
That's, I mean, 20. Man, I'm starting to get old. 2014 or 15, that was when I ran my first half marathon.
Dang.
And I was actually wearing the Crenshaw beanie because it was like, this is why I started running marathons. Was in that. But I never thought about running a full marathon. I was like, people do that's crazy. But now I was like, look, I can hop out of bed and run a full marathon because it's not a sprint. And so now I've got this energy now.
That's what's up.
And I actually so he had like, his brother put together a marathon running team in LA.
Okay.
And then after they ran the LA marathon, I actually went and I tried to meet them individually. So I met like 3 or 4 of them so far.
Oh, nice. Okay. You look like them. You look like like Nipsey and his brother a little bit. Y'all got the same type of face.
Hey, look, I don't know what part of Africa.
Maybe it's an LA thing. I don't know. It might be a Crenshaw look.
Definitely the
like if
talk.
you had some Chucks on right now.
Yeah.
You would definitely be straight like in a button up.
Yeah.
With the Dickies pants.
Yeah, if you see me
in a A-frame hat.
I got all that stuff at the crib.
I know.
Yeah. Especially like I just tried to when you're in Rome, you do as the Romans do.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to come out here, to
LA.
Yeah, and on top of that, I strive to always wear less than $100 worth of clothes on me at all times.
Okay.
So like these shoes, $20 from Temu.
They look comfortable.
Yeah.
I thought they were running shoes.
They are.
Oh, okay.
They're workout shoes.
They look comfy.
$20 from Temu. Jeans, $20 from Ross.
They look like good quality though. Those jeans,
they're
those
Under
pants.
Armour.
Oh yeah, you good.
And in my own clothing line.
Uh-huh.
I'm Smart Guy Clothing. This is the No Nodes, No Roads brand.
It look like it's dry fit.
Yeah,
so you can run in it and not get sweaty.
Definitely good quality.
Uh-huh.
I don't know about dry fit. It's cotton, but it's I've done workouts in them, and it's not going to soak to the point where it's like going to down me.
Yeah.
So it's definitely good quality. But yeah. So I take the route of conservatism. Hey, I don't got any money on me. I don't have any paper money. If you go on my bank account, it's broke. Like my car is worth less than $3,000.
Oh my god!
Like I'm a very minimalist person.
Yeah.
And I just save all my money in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And unless something is going to bring me more than 80% return average a year, I don't need it.
You got the blueprint. Well, let us know. Actually, we got to do our favorite quotes.
Let's do it.
Dang, I don't even have a good one right now. I'm gonna just go back to Old Faithful. Our favorite quotes and what book we're reading right now.
Okay.
So my favorite quote is, "You have to be odd to be number one."
For sure.
And that's by Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
And the book that I'm reading right now is called The Divine Nine. Because I'm literally obsessed with sororities and fraternities right now. I don't know why, but like the Deltas, SG Row, AKAs, the Qs, like the Alphas. I am obsessed with this secret society because it's so secret and it's all Black Greek and they do a lot for the community. It's like if you know, you know. If you know who it is, then you know who it is. Nobody, not everybody is out wearing letters and things like that, but you see like Kamala came out. She was an AKA. I had no idea. Fantasia's an AKA. It's a bunch of like really big people in the world, Black people in the world who are a part of these organizations. Martin Luther King was an alpha. I didn't know that. But anyways, it's called The Divine Nine by Lawrence C. Ross. Okay. What you got for me? Your favorite quote and then what book you reading right now?
Man, so I'm actually writing my book right now. So I hope that I can release that when I'm in Africa. Yeah. That one's Bitcoin from a CPA perspective.
Ooh.
From abacus to blockchain.
Ooh, that's going to be good.
Yeah.
I need that. Okay.
I'm excited about that. Reading wise, I just got it. I haven't started reading yet, but The Alchemist, because multiple people have
recommended that.
Because they say that's a perfect book for you. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and read it. So
and you don't seem like, I mean, you seem very logical, like black and white. Mm-hmm. The Alchemist is more so like creating your own destiny. Like it's very like, it feels spiritual to me, emotional. Like, how does it feel for somebody who's like super logical?
I don't know yet.
To read. Oh, you haven't started. Oh, it's gonna be an experience
so my flights. I got these 20-hour flights.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, look, let me get the books that people recommended and then write my own.
And they say when you in the air, that's when your brain is thinking the best.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I have not had the opportunity to read as many books as I want because I expanded the business so much that like I have a bunch of books.
Yeah.
I really liked Trump's book. Was it the Deal? The Art of the Deal.
The Art of the Deal. Yeah, that was
a fantastic.
It's a good one. Yeah.
I know Powernomics.
Okay.
I read that one.
What about Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No, I don't like Robert. Robert.
Oh, wait a minute.
No, he tweeted
Robert
something.
Kiyosaki.
He tweeted something that just bothered me.
What did he tweet?
Something about. It was during like Black Lives Matter.
Oh no!
And he said something that was like so twisted. He was like, "What?" He called us losers.
Oh.
It was like the losers. Why do we defend the losers? And it's like I was just like, "What?"
I got you. Yeah, he lost a lot of fans.
Yeah, but
through that, yeah.
So I tweeted at him directly.
Uh-oh.
I got Twitter figures.
Yeah.
I was like, anybody who recommends Rich Dad Poor Dad, just replace that with CJ the Smart Guy. So anybody who mentions Robert Kiyosaki, nah, CJ the Smart Guy, because I'm the leader for our community. Yeah. I know just as much as he does. I was in Bitcoin before he was.
Yeah.
Like all these wealthy white people, Michael Saylor, all these guys, we were in it before him. And if I won't even put me. Yeah. The people that I'm following, the Lamar Wilsons, the Sinclair Skinners, the Naja
You familiar with what is it, Mike Novogratz?
Yeah, the billionaire from Galaxy. Yeah. He's come to Sinclair Skinner's Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University.
Oh wow!
So he's come to that.
Okay.
And then when he was working with Meek Mill for the prison stuff, they were working with Isaiah Jackson. So these people are working like I'm very familiar with these people. Okay. And he's a billionaire working at Galaxy. So
I got you.
They talk to me. And I'm the one who provides them information so that they can make their own moves. Me providing them information can save them hundreds of millions of dollars. They value what I'm saying. Yeah. So they will meet with me.
Wow.
Because they're like, hey, he studies. We don't study.
You been invited to a Diddy party?
No.
Oh.
Diddy? No. That's
I don't know. You tapped in, man. I had to ask.
That's entertainment.
Okay, look, I got you.
But when I say I knew Nipsey, it had nothing to do with his rap.
I got you. I got you.
It was Vector 90. It wasn't. I didn't smoke with him. I didn't drink with him. I didn't party with him. It wasn't. It was.
You like, look, leave me out that.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about that industry.
Out of that. Okay, I got you. I got you. How can we support you? Because you got the clothing line, you got the CPA business. You going to Africa. Yeah. Okay, I know I keep saying we about to stop this, but this whole Africa trip. Yeah. How did this come about? What you going for? How long you staying? Tell us about this.
So, shout outs to Justin Redrick.
Okay, shout out.
He created a nonprofit called Bitcoin Transformation Community. Okay. Where we go inside of prisons and we teach them about Bitcoin. Whoa. He had been incarcerated. He has a book called From Bars to Bitcoin. Okay. And he talks about that the vast majority of people in prisons are in there because of financial purposes, whether they were stressed out and their girl was saying something, they took it out on her, or whether they went to go rob something or whatever they did. The vast majority of people are in prison because of financial reasons. Okay. And so he came out and he was like, I need to learn something about money. And so he figured out Bitcoin, created his book, and then he created a nonprofit. And so we go inside of prisons, teach them about Bitcoin. And then on top of that, when they get out, we try to provide them jobs through mining. Like the miners are
the people who solve the codes on the blockchain, right?
That's the computers that do a lot of that stuff. And so they take a lot of maintenance because they got to run almost 24/7. And so you got to clean them out to make sure that the fans are good and stuff like that. And a lot of times you can be out there in freezing cold weather or extremely hot weather. And so the average...
And those are called farms, right? The mining farms?
Yeah, the mining farms. Okay. Yeah. And so our job is, what we try to do is provide them those types of jobs because it's manual labor. Okay. And a lot of them, they want to work with their hands. And it provides them a job so that they don't go back. And because we're teaching them about a better form of money, one thing that he also realized was, say if these cats went to jail in 1990, and they saved $1 million, and they don't get out for 20 years. Well, by the time you get out, that $1 million can't buy you the same.
Yeah.
So you went to jail for an asset that went down in value.
Yeah.
You lost time.
Yeah.
You lost energy.
Yeah.
Youth.
Yeah.
Relationships. Experiences. Everything you did got drained from you, and you thought the risk was worth it for the money, but even the money got devalued. So you don't even understand money. So we're going to teach you money so that hopefully you can figure out a way to not go back to prison by providing you the job. And then you don't have to be oppressed, because we recognize that the monetary system is oppressive, because you spend your time and energy to make money, and then you save it. And then when they decide to print money, they are robbing you every time they print money. So they're literally robbing you from your time and energy, even when you're out of jail. So your sentiment that you were being robbed was correct. Your feelings are validated, but we now have a solution to the exact feeling of problem that you had before, and now we're providing that. And so,
man, you'll be spitting.
Thank you.
Mean, yeah, yeah. Again, yeah, that's an interesting conversation to have too. We can go all night with that one, but how can we support you?
For sure. So really, just check me out on social media.
Okay.
YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, CJ the Smart Guy, across all platforms. No extra spaces, letters, because there's lots of fake pages.
Oh yeah.
Check out Smart Guy Clothing.
He verified, y'all, the blue check. If it's CJ the Smart Guy and it don't got a blue check, that's not CJ the Smart Guy.
It's not me.
That's not him.
Yeah, make sure you get some of the clothes, my own clothing line. Make sure you stream, pay attention. But more than anything, to support me is just to win yourself. Because once you win and you're worth a couple million and I'm worth a couple million, and we start networking with ourselves so we can trade peer-to-peer without a middleman, that's when we can really help each other out. Right now, I don't need any more clients. That's not support.
Okay. Whoa. I ain't never had somebody come on here and now want clients.
No, I'm good. I'm in the process of cutting clients.
This is crazy. Dang.
But
I'll check back next year.
Just
you like, look, Mike, you might got a 2-3 year wait list for CJ.
Hey, it might be ever. I don't know.
Hey, that's crazy. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, the best way, CJ the Smart Guy. Also pay attention to what we're doing in Africa, because remember, America is 5% of the world population, 25% of the prison population. So when we go to Africa, we are the freedom fighters, because we're teaching them about Bitcoin, which is freedom money. So they look at us as heroes. And so that's why they invited Justin out. And that's why Block, which is Jack Dorsey is the owner of Block. He's
that's
the
BLOK on the stock market? Is that what you're talking about? Or is
Correct.
this something? Okay.
They gave us a couple grants so that we can go to these prisons.
Oh, wow.
And so Jack Dorsey will be in Africa. Justin will be in Africa. And he's bringing the whole team out there.
Oh, wow.
So we can experience these things. And we're considered freedom fighters. So it's wild that from in other countries, we're looked at as like the Black Panthers, or we're looked at as, the actual freedom fighters, because it's like we are liberating our own people. But it's weird being in this country, because it's like you're just playing with that fake money and you're a Trump supporter. So the best way to support me is to educate yourself and then make your own money, so that then when this thing really starts hitting the fan, when that central bank digital currency is controlling people's lives and oppressive, you could be like, hey, I can trade with you. And it's like, okay, bet. Then we're good. That's the best way to support me.
Yeah. Okay. And did you ever say what your favorite quote was?
Let's see. I got a lot of them. People may forget what you do and say, but they'll never forget how they make you feel. Maya Angelou. Yeah. That's a big one, because a lot of I think a lot of people get triggered. They say things that bother me.
Yeah.
And I'm consistently having to work on myself so I don't react.
You went to therapy?
Oh, I got 2 therapists.
Okay.
I got one male, one female.
Oh.
Because if the way I see it, because originally I just had a woman therapist, and we disagreed so much.
What?
I was like, am I just a male chauvinist, or what's the issue?
Yeah.
And so I got a male therapist. And then there were times I was like, man, he might just be saying stuff to keep my payroll going. I was like, so let me have both.
Yeah.
And it's like this. If I agree with the guy, most of the time I'm like, okay, cool. Then it's just a man thing. But then if they agree, and I'm probably tripping.
Okay.
If they both are like, no, then I'm probably tripping. And so those are the times where I start to really look more internal.
Deep into yourself, yeah. Because the self is masculine and feminine. So
correct.
I think that's interesting that you got.
You gotta have both.
Both, yeah.
Yeah. So month to month, I'll go from one to another one and another one.
Wow.
And it's helped me out drastically in terms of being able to connect the dots.
Yeah. But
then once you connect the dots, the next thing is being able to go through the work to actually be able to heal the wounds that you've gone through. So I actually came out with a podcast called My Second Full Marathon, nearly 20 years of unhealed trauma. And I put out a story that nobody even really knew because I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it because like I didn't heal from it. And so like it takes you through the journey of my cousin being murdered, and how that led to a lot of the traumas later on, the decisions I was making.
Wow.
And so me being sober,
yeah,
and celibate,
yeah,
and running marathons, it helped me think a lot.
Okay.
And so through a lot of that process, it was like, oh, this is why I used to get triggered by this. And so now I'm able to recognize other people's triggers. And when I'm able to now recognize other people's triggers, now I just have empathy for them versus getting upset and frustrated. It's like the woman we talked about.
Yeah.
Instead of me being angry, at the time I was frustrated. I was angry. Now I look back and I'm like, she just doesn't know. She just doesn't know. So that's why I say, God bless her soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
Dang, man, this has been such a thought-provoking conversation. Thank you so much for coming through. Your episode is actually coming out 2 days after Christmas.
Awesome.
That Friday.
I will definitely be in Kenya.
You go definitely be in Kenya. You definitely got to come back, whether it's over the airways or if you come back to Richmond, you always got a home here. You part of the Conversations Unearthed family. Y'all definitely check out his stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, share the content. We love you and good night. Oh, man. That was good.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Yeah.
What you think?
Oh, it was great.
Man,
I enjoyed myself.
had a good time. You dropped some knowledge.
That was the goal. With my gift to Richmond.
Right, look, and I'm out.
Mm-hmm.